Okay, first I'd like to confirm that all the members and persons anticipated on this agenda are present and can hear me. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
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 So I'm just gonna go through and just have you state, because I didn't hear everybody say it. So Beth,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Doug,
Aye.
Irene,
Yes.
John.
Yes.
Thank you. This open meeting of the Library Planning and Building Committee is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted to the town's website, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participants by video conference, of course. Okay, so now that we've got that in there, let's start off with the handicap disability. This, Andy, you didn't seem like you wanted to start us off,
I'll
so.
be glad to start you off. Yeah, so a third-party consultant accessibility review is part of the town's regular process for new construction. This is not particular to the library. This is just what we normally do. So we had a consultant come out last week and took a walk around. I've worked with Deb before, and so she put out a report that had a number of things in it that need to be addressed, and they are being addressed. Some are already completed. Some we've had quite a few discussions about today, and others are still to be addressed. The general contractor is going to be back on site tomorrow to work through the specific, the individual items and to figure out what solutions are. So, you always want to get through these without having anything that you have to correct, but it's not unusual that you find a few things. So, everybody's prepared to fix stuff. And like I said, some people have already come in and made a couple of the adjustments that needed to be adjusted. So the team is working on a plan to correct every one of these so that we can clear them all up and move ahead.
We'll start with Lisa.
Can you give us an idea of what some of the items were and if there were costs associated with them?
Yeah, we don't know costs yet. I mean, some of these are going to be no cost. So there was a couple of plumbing fixtures that were not located quite correctly. They are off by a fraction of an inch here and there. Those have already been corrected. The ones that was most sweeping was typically where we've got a stone countertop and a sink. Those stone countertops were too tall by 1.5 inches or 2 inches. So that happened in a handful of locations. So that's one that really, that's tomorrow's discussion, is to look at that. The ramp that goes between the existing building and the new building, it's pretty hard to find. We took 20 minutes to find the imperfection today with a 2-foot smart level, but found it. So there's a little hump in the ramp somewhere that needs to be ground down so that the ramp percentage is within the tolerance it's supposed to be within. Outside, there's a sloped sidewalk that goes from the children's library outside door up to the round patio, and that's supposed to be 5% or less, and it's over 5% right now. So that one's a little bit different. Again, we had 2 contractors come out today looking at that, figuring out what the potential solutions are. So they're working on that as well. There were a couple of places where we had coat hooks on the backs of doors that were too high. We're going to add a second one at the correct height to make that go away. So that should be relatively easy. And let me see. That's the majority of them. It's the hand sinks. Oh, there are knee guards that go underneath those sinks at the cabinets that just hadn't been installed yet. So that's just, we hadn't gotten there yet. So that's not a cost thing. That's just a let's get done thing. I think that's really most of them.
Were you happy with the list?
No,
Like nothing
I
justifies the
wanted
plot.
the list to be
Right.
0.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, no. No, that for a number of reasons. I think, part of it, I don't like having anything get by me. And part of it, I just don't like anything to happen like that at all. So, but, a couple of these are a little more difficult to solve, but they're all solvable. So and none of them, I mean, some of them, these are all things that don't meet the code specifically, but none of them are like so awful that most people would notice, but there's still things we have to address. So we'll address them.
Will the consultant come back when you're all finished to either certify or verify, or how do you satisfy the deficiencies?
Yep, that's also part of the regular process, John. So she'll come back. We haven't done final paving and striping yet, so she has to come back and see that anyways. Plus, we knew that the millwork, the knee guards hadn't been installed yet, so no, she'll come back and verify that everything that needed to get done has been done.
It's
So-
it's essentially another punch list. We have an architectural, mechanical, electrical punch list. This is an ADA punch list, and it's just part of the process. So then when the items are done, we'll raise our hand, say they're ready for review again, and then they'll come back and cross them off the list.
And so anything and everything that they saw that we hadn't done or needed to be done is on that list. So if we get all those things done, then we're good
Correct.
with the access board. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if she comes back and she takes a second walk around and sees something that she missed the first time, she's going to tell us.
But that's unlikely. I mean, that's,
It's unlikely.
Right.
she caught pretty much everything there is that needs to be corrected.
She has a ton of experience and is very thorough. So yeah, I would be surprised if I mean, I know she will walk around again, but I'd be surprised if she missed anything. She's good.
Because
Yeah,
she's,
given that list and the detail on it, I certainly would think she got everything. I just want to put in my voice that, Andy, you said most of these should be no cost, especially the things like those counters. I don't want to pay another penny. I don't know who dropped the ball or how, okay? But we hire professionals for a reason, okay? And if they goofed and they made it 36 inches instead of 34, at their cost, they're going to make it 34, not our additional cost.
That's not a surprise.
Doug?
Yeah, are any of those items available for like a waiver? Like, can we get a waiver on some of them? So I'm looking at the staff shower. I mean, that seems like a pretty major, that will be a major fix, I think. So those things aren't available for like a waiver.
I don't think I don't think in general that people have much success going for a waiver for something that they built incorrectly in a brand new building.
Yeah, okay.
Does anybody else have anything else on this?
I have another thought, and tell me if this is going to be brought up separately. So obviously her purview when she comes in is to look at things that are at the current ADA code. Okay. In the meantime, we've had something come up that's of concern to people, but it's not on ADA. It's not on an ADA list. It's not a code. And that, of course, was the geometric design of the rug in the children's library. So is that coming up? Is that on our list, or is this the place to talk about that?
what was the plan to talk about that? Was that at this, or was that at the interior design subcommittee meeting?
Well, I would think that we would want to talk about it here as well.
It's fair game. I mean, it's fair game, right?
All right.
So who wants to tell the backstory on that one? I don't know that I guess I,
So what happened was, as I know it, is there were some people who, having gone into the library and seen the rug, said, wow, you know, this could be a problem for people with processing disorders.
Irene, can I just, so
Yeah.
I actually was in the middle of that a little bit.
Oh,
So
okay, so because you were saying you wanted to wait if someone else wanted
Well,
backstory.
if somebody else had more immediate experience, I would have been happy to let them go. But so it was one person, right, who apparently has a child who has a rare condition that could potentially have a seizure, allegedly, because of this carpet pattern. So it wasn't multiple people. It was, you know, it was a single child that was brought up. We have since, Christy came out to take a walk through from the Disability Commission. Evan's been involved to do a little research in the background to some of this. And then, so I think there's still some discussion going on about, you know, what do we do here? I mean, it's commercially available carpet, right? So it's not something that is that's our custom design that we, you know, that's not available anywhere else. And so I'm not an expert on this stuff, so I'm not really sure what is going to happen next. But I know that Evan's been doing a little bit of work in the background to see what potentially happens next.
Okay, so maybe Christy, you could start first and just.
Well, if I can add to what Andy just said, we reviewed the MAB regulations, MAAB regulations, and there is nothing in the regulations regarding colors, patterns, shapes, anything like that. So it's designed to meet code. It's designed to meet the ADA and accessibility.
Right, I think we all understand that part. But so Christy, if you want.
I'd be happy to. Good evening, everybody. So not everything can be measured in codes and regulations. And I think this is the perfect example of such a situation. And everyone on the committee and everyone who's been involved in this project has done their best to make this place a welcoming, accessible location. But I have to tell you that no place is 100% accessible. And we all try our best, but there will always be an incidental disability where you cannot meet that need. We do try our best. So I just want to first say to you, this isn't about casting blame on the library or the committee or looking to say someone made a bad choice. This isn't that case. This is instead where everyone's done their best and someone has brought forward one of those incidences where it will be a concern. And so you're right, Ron, you can't regulate patterns, and these are, you know, approved. But can I tell you from a disability point, these are not what we would look for a carpet pattern, because for anyone who's traveling with a white cane and has some vision or is using a service animal for guidance, you're looking for a repeat or a specific pattern so that you can see paths of travel. And because of the nature of the graphic design, there's no what we call a repeat or return. The best way is to compare it from a Kandinsky painting where there's no pattern and you can get lost in it, to something that's much more geometric designed that does have a repeat. Think of the wallpaper you hang on your wall. It repeats every so often on your panels. So this is a case where we can think about ways to compromise without throwing out all the carpet. I've thought of a few ideas, but I'm interested, Evan, in hearing what you learned about some through some of the research you did, but really everyone, if we can think about this in terms of what would be a workable solution, like we have done so far with our other areas that were in non-compliance to the regs, this is something that's outside the regs. And the reason I say this is because I really want us to be continually perceived as a community that welcomes those with disabilities. Some of you know I worked for the school department for many years, and we were known for being a welcoming community, so much so that we had many families with kids on the autism spectrum moving to our community just to use our town services and be in our school system. And it's not just the schools, though. Now it extends to businesses, to the library, to all areas, to be an autism-friendly community. And we've gone a long way to build that reputation. And it's not that our reputation hinges on this, but we at least need to consider this request and then come up with a solution. And the solution may not please everyone. We may choose not to take action. But the fact that we're even discussing this is a step in the right direction so that we can be communicating and thinking about ways to be accessible. Because like I've told Andy, we'll open on the first day and then someone else will come in and say something. And it won't be that they don't like the color. It may be something that really does have to do with a disability that didn't meet the regs. So in closing, I just want to say the regulations are a floor. They're the minimum requirement for what we need to do. If we want to go above, that is where we really like to see people think attitudinally about things, that we don't want to just do the minimum and then have it be only for 50 to 60 to 70% of the people. Every once in a while, if we had a very strong deaf community in this town, which I think you do, you would come through and have a deaf specialist look at the space to see how much echolation is going on in your corridors. Do you have wide enough venues so people can walk next to each other while signing? I mean, there's a lot of things architecturally that you need to consider for your spaces through the lens of disability. And I will tell you right now, with real respect, Ron, I don't think the regulations do enough to include people with disabilities. And I know you don't set them, but I'm just hoping that you'll become an advocate for us, for people with disabilities who really do need to have a voice that really understands design and access beyond the regulations. So thank you.
Well, don't misunderstand me. I'm not, taking exception to that person's comment. I understand that there are items that cannot be regulated.
Yeah.
I was just trying to make it clear that as far as we know, that space met code. And if how the library and the town want to address it is entirely up to you.
Evan, do you want to add anything to that?
Sure. So thank you for having me. After we started this conversation, I went down and met with Andy and we toured the space. Again, I had already been in the space. So just a little bit about my background. So right out of college, I was a human rights advocate for people with developmental disabilities. I helped build group homes to move people out of institutions and into the community. My wife is a board certified behavior analyst with a master's degree in autism studies. So we're pretty familiar with a lot of these issues that come up. Part of the problem with this rug pattern is that while it does repeat, it does so every 4 counts, I believe, right, Andy? And because of the geometric pattern and the colors chosen, it really isn't evident that it's repeating. But one of the thoughts that I have, having done some of this building, is once the stacks and the other pieces of furniture are in, the space will be broken up into smaller compartments, which takes away a lot of the busyness of when you go in and you have that initial shock of what that carpet looks like across a room that is that size. And so I think that we need to consider that we need to let the space become what the space is supposed to become, and then start to break this up into issues that we may be able to solve. Some of the problems or some of the things we thought about were, could you put down some runners? The problem with runners is that they now create a different accessibility problem, which is against, is opposite of what we want to try to solve. There are ways to break up the pattern with, it's essentially like a tape, and you see it in places that deal with people with not autism, Alzheimer's, to give reference lines. You could look at doing something like that. The hard part with this particular issue is you have, from what I'm gathering, is an individual put a comment on Facebook that then spawned this other conversation. And I think we want to be cognizant of that comment, but also recognize that, we need to go through a process. We can't just say one person made a comment on Facebook, we're going to rip out a carpet. It's just not, that's not the way that this can go. And so I did some more research. I tried to find some kind of empirically supported evidence about specifically colors with kids with autism, repeating patterns, sensory disorders, overstimulation disorders, all within the ASD spectrum. And I got to be honest with you, it's kind of all over the chart, right? So half of the literature talks about how you would want to avoid bright colors and patterns for people that are overstimulated. And then there's other parts of the literature that talk about when you would want to bring somebody into an environment that stimulates them. So it's kind of, there's some people that this would probably be a benefit to, and there's probably some people that it isn't a benefit to, which, I think, Christy, even though we haven't met, I think speaks to what you said earlier about 100% accessible, and really that's probably impossible to achieve. We can certainly try, and I'm not suggesting that we don't try. It was also interesting. I read one study, and part of it is because I'm very interested in these studies, but favorite colors for children with autism under 11 are generally green, blue, and yellow, which is kind of interesting, although, maybe not 100% empirical because it's not a repeated study. But so anyways, I think that our best course of action at the current time is to set the room up as it's supposed to be set, and then review that with probably somebody other than our ADA person, but somebody that knows this realm of autism, and maybe offers some suggestions in that case. And Christy, maybe you have that background. We haven't met yet, so I don't know, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but I think that we could certainly reach out to, I have a plethora of contacts, but I'm sure that there's some other contacts that we could get to give us some guidance on maybe things we could do that would be, minor modifications, but that achieve the goal that we're looking for. Sorry, it was quite a monologue there. I've been thinking about it for like 5 hours, so straight. Well, days really, but 5 hours today.
Okay, great. I just wanted to circle back to the other lists that we had, and I didn't know if Ken or Ron, you wanted an opportunity to say anything about that list of all the items that were cited as code issues. Ron?
Sorry, I just had to unmute my microphone. We've gone through the list. We're comparing it to the drawings to see if it's a design or a construction issue. And we are also reaching out to an ADA consultant for some advice and direction.
Okay.
And we'll circle back through Andy and Mark. But we also, as Andy mentioned, we had a conversation, Mark and I had a conversation earlier today about the status of some of the items on the list, that some are being addressed very simply by the plumbers. Some are as simple as putting a coat hook on, a second coat hook on the back of the door. But we're going through the rest of them to confirm a few things, and we'll circle back through Andy and Mark. So we are taking it seriously and addressing it.
Okay, great. It's good to hear. Does anybody have anything else that they want to add for the handicap accessibility? Christy?
So can I just want to check in about this. So is someone going to make a motion, or are we all agreeing to wait? Like, are we going to vote? I mean, not we, but you, because I just want to, I don't know if everyone voiced their concerns or if everyone's happy to wait until after the building opens. That's a great solution. I just wanted to hear if there are any differing opinions, because I know sometimes it's more expensive to do things later. So I just wanted to ask about that. That's all. And then I also wanted to follow up, Beth, with the height of the staff. Remember, we saw that in the staff height of the counters. I was very concerned about as well. So just those two items. Thank you.
I could jump in. I think it's not just staff. It's the YA counter that was produced at standing height. And the public computer counter was produced at the top of the range, 34 inches. And all of the staff workspaces are at 34 inches. Additionally, all the plugs are underneath everything instead of at counter height. And what I've heard, I've been voicing the concern since I saw the brackets go in for those counters. And what I'm hearing is it's just too expensive to fix it. It is to code, and we are going to work around it.
Well, I did make a list of all of the areas that have 34-inch high counters and have outlets underneath. I am going to put together a drawing of recommendations for where grommets should be added in, so that you can get the cables under the counters, which is it's a standard practice. And I'm also looking into keyboard trays for certain areas to review with you and the team.
We're still going to be crawling around, and so are patrons, in an undignified manner, plugging things in. It may
Well,
be
if
standard,
you're,
but it's not great.
well, the computer counter, how often are you going to be unplugging and plugging in equipment? Even in office spaces, in my office space, all of my plugs are under the work surface. And we have system furniture, so sometimes we have to move panels out of the way to get to the outlets. So it's, not unusual in the industry.
I'm sorry for you that that's your experience, but I am expressing my concern at not being heard from the building program that I wrote and the things that I have asked for throughout this process. And it's just like another disappointment.
What do you mean by grommet? I don't know exactly what you mean calling a grommet.
It's a hole.
Grommet.
It's a hole. It's a pass through. But there is one other solution that we could do. You still create a grommet, and then they have an electrical pass through. So you do then have electrical at counter height, and then it plugs in down below. It's like a mock-it product or something like that.
Right.
It's very easy. I'm a
I've
little more
seen it.
concerned about, because I had noticed this when I was walking around with Andy, the heights of those. Sorry, I've got stuff going on in the background. Is maybe we need stool height chairs, because I feel like the chairs are too low.
Well, we were looking into addressing that with keyboard trays.
Okay. Yeah, because it just is not, the 34 is
Because
high.
the 34, if it's too high and we use a keyboard tray instead of a stool, if you put in a stool, then you have the issue with people whose feet don't reach the ground or are not comfortable sitting, even if there's a ring, a foot ring on the stool.
Right.
The other advantage to using a keyboard tray is you can transition to some extent between standing and sitting with a 34-inch counter.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And a keyboard would be very helpful. And then I'm assuming you did it the 34 height so that someone in a wheelchair would be able to work at that, right?
Yes.
Okay, because that's
Yeah.
the, right, the ADA height. All
The
right,
writing surface is gonna be up above. It's not great workflow.
Well, we're looking at keyboard trays that have a tablet attached to the side to address that issue.
I would also like to say, just because it's industry standard, if it doesn't work and it's bad design, doesn't mean we have to keep doing it that way.
Well, I would say we paid to have it be a very nice building and we're kind of making a Band-Aid fix. So I have a bigger, I mean, there are lots of different levels of problems here. And it's like, one, if it doesn't work for us, and Beth has expressed her concerns, but also to me, it looks like you did it wrong and we're drilling a hole. And I, for one, know I crawl around at South Grafton Library constantly because cords get kicked out by little feet and the computers go off. So I know having that plug up top would make a huge difference for a lot of reasons in terms of functionality. So I would prefer not to see holes drilled in the top of, I would think, fairly expensive or nice countertops.
Well,
It's also
being in
a range of
industry, though,
motion.
I would just say that that would give you more flexibility, John, if you were able to put like outlets above or below. And in some cases, many people don't like to have the cords up top because it's cumbersome that way. So it's hard to please everybody. And I think the grommets would be a good solution to give us a little bit of both. So people that need to have it up top, we can make that adjustment there. That would be my two cents in it.
Am I missing something? Because I think it's also about the height. Because I think for range of motion, to always be lifting things up, you're talking about a lot of work that's not done on the computer that you're still using that space for. And I think as a task, if you look at the tasks that the library staff are asked to do, that's not going to work for them. They really need it at a lower level to work from their trunk, because that's where their sense of balance is. So to constantly be moving things up and down and whatever they're doing, and Beth, correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like, the real issue is the height of the counter, and the solution could be the grommet for a short, for anybody who's working. But right now, I think the counter height sounds to me like it's the bigger issue that's not being addressed.
What would they be lifting up and down that would, at a desk, that would be, I mean, we're not talking about workrooms, we're talking about offices or a computer counter that's public use. What would be lifted? What would they be lifting that would be create an issue?
Books, library materials, every day, all day.
But most of the book work is done in one of the workrooms, right? And are those tops at the right height, or are those also too high?
They're all too high.
Okay, is that one thing that's being addressed, or is that not being addressed? Okay, so can we get that addressed? Can we have that looked at?
Well, I did, as I mentioned, I am looking at putting in grommets and keyboard trays and proposing that as a solution.
Since I was in there and tried it out myself, I'm saying that doesn't do the job. And I'm someone with a very specific eye for this. I felt that the workaround of even a stool would be inappropriate. Let's put it that way. I think I am going to say it very firmly here. I think it needs to be moved down to the correct level and height, and anything less is not a workable solution. I'm sorry, it's just, if you were all to go in there and see, you would see what we're talking about. And
then why does ADA allow for a 34-inch counter height?
I'm not talking about it from a disability point. I'm talking about for Beth and what she needs for what she's working with. There's
One
a
of her
lot of
employees
things
can be
that
in
are
a wheelchair.
allowable. There's a lot of things, Ron. I'm not going to go by the regs right now. What I'm talking about now, and I don't think you're hearing people say this from Beth's point of view, the voice is all coming behind her. They're very frustrated that a lot of the issues they bring up that are workable for them are not being met. And we need to be responsive to that. That's where I'm going. I'm not throwing out a reg. I'm not saying the regs are wrong. I'm saying I'm just trying to advocate for Beth, who's saying this is a tall height. And me having been there, I recognized it. I sat in a stool. I walked around it. I saw it. It is too high. And the solution, after I inspected it, Andy was my witness. I said this needs to go down. I have no say in this. I'm just a participant, but I'm very concerned that people aren't being listened to when they express something, and it's coming from the people who are going to be using it.
It's really not just the staff areas. The public computing counter is also at 34 inches, and the teen counter is at something like 42. After I asked in a meeting if everything was at seated counter height for the public, and it's really not. And I do have a kid in a wheelchair who's going to be not able to like wheel up to that standing counter and participate with her peers on an even playing field. And the solution, which I'm still waiting to see the drawings for, was not to lower the whole counter, but to add in a lowered portion with a keyboard tray.
Yeah,
And
I do remember you bringing
I
that
did
up
provide a
a
drawing.
month
for
or
that.
two. So for that particular space, it's currently too high, and we have a drawing to put in a lower piece, but no decision on if we're going to go forward with that. Is that what you're saying, Ron?
It was given to CTA to price out
Okay.
and look into the exploration of it.
Andy, do you know anything about that?
That one specifically, yeah, I mean, a sketch was created. We are waiting for pricing for it to come in so we can see what it would cost. It's a pretty straightforward solution for that specific location.
Okay.
And can you give an idea, like, so all of these spaces that are currently at what, 34 inches, and you want to ideally move it to 32, I'm assuming that's lowering, you have to lower the top, you got to redo the wall that's behind it. It's a fair amount of work, right? It's not just cutting some legs and shortening things.
Right, yeah, most of these countertops are on internally mounted brackets, which
Those
means
brackets.
Yeah.
the brackets are actually, they're fixed inside the wall. So we'd have to tear the wall apart, tear out the brackets, rebuild the wall, then lower everything down.
Right. And for the employee work area, I mean, would you want it at desk height then? So you would want it at 30 inches as a kind of a maximum.
Yes, it's still up to code at 30 inches.
Right.
So going from 34 to 30.
Yeah.
Right.
That's yeah. But 34, it would be considered like a standing height. So people could stand and work and then have, kind of like give them and I'm listening to you, Beth. I'm just kind of spitballing,
I hear you. The plan was to offer a piece of hardware that will raise or lower a keyboard, and most of the monitors already slide up so that people would have the sit to stand option. That's just for the counters. The desks are already having that hydraulic.
Right.
It was planned for that way.
Right. Yeah.
So there will be a desk option though for them to go work at? No.
No, in this particular area, this is where they will have their desk. Am I correct, Andy? It's where you had your temporary desk? Yeah.
The managers have an office with a desk. So myself, the admin team, children's librarian, actually the teen librarian also has a built-in. And a circulation has an up and down desk.
Right.
So does anybody else have anything else to add to that? Do we want to have them explore lowering them, at least getting pricing? Is it too late?
I think they need to get pricing for lower
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
because
not
it
too-
really ergonomically, it's not going to be ideal at 34.
It'd
It'd be really helpful.
It would just be, it's not, these changes aren't technically difficult, they're just cumbersome, and they'll probably involve 3 different trades, carpentry, painting, drywall, millwork, so maybe 3 or 4 different trades, to what Andy was saying, take everything apart, lower it, put it back in the wall, and then put the countertop back on top. Either way, I think the grommets with Julie's suggestion about the pass-through would be I think a good solution. From a design standpoint, I think it would be unusual to have all the outlets at countertop height. You'd see that in laboratory work and things like that, but not in this kind of setting. Traditionally, you'd see a grommet and then the pass-through with the plug. So that gives you the most flexibility, I think, as far as that's concerned. But the height is a standalone issue that we can get pricing from CTA on what that would be, what would be involved in doing that.
But it sounds like we'd have to get stools as well, because we need something that would go up higher, no? Why, you're saying no?
Not if we lower the tables.
Yeah, if
Not
the
if we lower
countertop
the
came
roofs.
down, you'd be at chair height.
I will draw up a plan for reconfiguring those counters at a 30-inch height. Provide that to CTA for pricing.
Yeah.
Right, so I understand that part, but it sounded like if we get pricing back, we've got 3 trades doing this, the price is gonna come out astronomical. We'd still have to get stools then, so that you could raise up to the 34, am I correct? So then we would have to take that cost and put it against to see, okay, which is the way to go.
Oh, one or the
We
other.
don't, right,
Yeah.
we don't.
Well, I wouldn't recommend stools. I would recommend keyboard trays. So we can price out both options, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, we want to have everything in front of us so that we can make the best decision. I mean, it sounds
Okay.
like the committee would like to see it lowered. How much
All
money
right.
we have to do that is another issue, but we would like to see that.
All right, I will take care of both of those options.
Beth, did you have anything else on that?
I was just gonna say that I feel like we're gonna end up with power strips on top of these counters so that we can be plugging in things that we don't use all the time, but a phone, an extra printer. So to say that it's a lab standard to have it at that height, it would be a convenience, and it would have been appreciated to have it right there and accessible. And the people who are in the workrooms have the kind of projects that they spread out to work on. So a keyboard tray really isn't going to cut it. You're still going to be awkwardly reaching up or just having to stand if we don't end up lowering them.
Just a point of clarification, because I lost my connection. Were these built according to what the specs were? Are these higher than what the specs were?
I believe they are to spec, and multiple pairs of eyes missed the height. I noticed it when we put the brackets in. That was like February, and
So
I've been talking about it since.
So they should be at a lower height. That's what I'm getting, that if the plan was they were supposed to be at 30 inches or whatever the correct height, they're too tall.
No, they're built, John, at the height indicated on the plans. They weren't installed at the wrong height by the contractor. They're installed according to the plans and specs.
Okay.
And they meet code, but the discussion is outside of all of that and work for the staff.
It doesn't meet our needs. And I think that's the critical thing.
Right.
We're not building it for Sutton or Millbury or the University of somebody else. We're building it for Grafton. And if this is what we need before we open these doors, to me, we got to get it right, whatever that might be. however we have to compromise to make it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, we do definitely have to consider that they're going to be at these desks, their whole workday. It's not like they're just going to be using it for, 15 minutes here and there. They're going to be sitting there, so it needs to be at the right height.
Okay, so it sounds like the committee would just like you to go through that exercise, Ron, and then report back to us.
Yes, absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Is this something we should schedule a meeting rather quickly for, or is this something that can wait a whole nother month?
Well, how long will it take, Mark, for it to get pricing back on?
I think if Ron takes a few days to get the sketches together, CTA, because it involves 3 or 4 different trades, might take a week or 10 days to get the numbers. So maybe by, it's the second of the month, mid-month, we'd have pricing. And then once we have pricing in hand, we can schedule we don't have to wait a full month. We can schedule an interim meeting to review just these items.
Okay. All right, anything else on this before we move on?
So Ron, if you get pricing, that requires or necessitates a meeting, if you could let me know so that I could then get a meeting posted.
Thank you.
I have a follow-up about the carpet as well. And I apologize because I was a little late for the meeting, so this may have been talked about. But when are the stacks being delivered and will be put in the room so we can evaluate? I'm wondering if we can evaluate that and have those same conversations sooner than later, perhaps with this quote.
So they're in place right now, but not completed,
Okay.
but they will be by the end of the week.
Oh, awesome. So maybe, that would be another good agenda item to put on in 2 weeks. So we can discuss the options for the height as well as options for the carpeting.
I'm going to follow up on Doreen because I actually had wanted to say something about the carpeting too, and we went back to all the other things. I do not have a quote disability, but I do have vertigo and had a very serious episode a little over 10.5 years ago. When we walked into that space during the public open house, so to speak, a couple weeks ago, I was immediately disoriented. Now I'm fortunate I overcame it very quickly. I didn't fall down. I didn't have a spell or anything, but I just wanted to throw that out there. And my husband and I were saying, oh, we can't wait for the shelving and furniture to go in because we have a feeling that had that been there, I probably wouldn't have had that reaction. But I want to throw it out there. It was disorienting to me as somebody who has vertigo and has had to give up amusement park rides, doesn't do a lot of video games, with her children because I can't watch the screen that way. It did affect me. But again, my first thought was it's bright, it's colorful, kids are probably going to love it. But for what it's worth, I wanted to let people know that I actually had that reaction to it.
It's a fair comment. It's also a different space now that the furniture is in.
Yeah, I think to Evan's point, well, similar to some of the 88 items on the 88 punch list, as Andy mentioned, they were relative to items that hadn't been completed yet. And so it wasn't really an issue, that they just weren't done yet. And the room isn't done yet. So I agree with Evan that the room should be finished, the shelving in place, the furniture where it's supposed to sit, and then see if it's an issue. And then if it's an issue, address it accordingly. But to preemptively fix it before we know that it's an issue, I think is premature.
Oh, absolutely agreed. I'm with you 100%. Like I said, I was throwing it out there just for what it was worth. And I think, maybe to be fair to the 1 or 2 people for whom it might be an issue, but I'm with Christy. You're never going to get to that magical 100%, on everything. But I did want to throw it out there.
Just one question, just a clarification. So the carpet issue met the consultants pass through, but it's the local commission that found that it to be an issue. Am I understanding that? correctly?
No.
Partial, go ahead, Andy.
So the consultant that came in didn't even look at it because it's not part of the regulations. She's just looking at things that are part of regulations.
Okay. And so, but it was the local commission that said, we think this is an issue. Is that where?
It was brought to their attention via a Facebook post.
Okay, thanks.
Evan?
Yes, so just before, I think there's another meeting at 7, but I don't know who goes where, but I just want to make sure everyone's clear. I think that we'll do the wait and see, not the wait and see, like wait and see if someone has a seizure. Like it's wait and see what the space looks like. We're very cognizant that that could be an issue. We want to make sure that people understand that we are hearing the concern and that we're looking at the concern, but that trying, as Mark said, trying to come up with solutions to an unfinished space is probably just spinning our wheels, and we need to see what it looks like in its whole. Because Irene, much like you, I went in there and it was open, and that carpet is disorientating, I think, to everyone in that size of a room and space without the bookshelves. And so I think, you know, I think we're gonna take a serious look at it, but I just think we need to let the room be finished before we start making any adjustments or changes. I just wanted
Just to be clear,
on
to
that.
clarify for John, the letter just says that they're concerned with the accessibility of the new children's room and teen room flooring due to the contrasting and colorful floor tiles. That was what the letter stated.
Yeah, I've been back and forth with Roger a few times, asked to be invited to their next Disability Commission meeting, where I can go and talk through that a little bit more with them. But I did iterate, I think I iterated it. Maybe I'm just imagining it at this point. I do a lot of emails a day, but just that, you know, I think the town's position is let's complete the space and then let's revisit the issue and make sure that we have an understanding of what the issue actually is, instead of judging it just on that large open space. So I hope that comes through as both empathetic and practical, because that's what I'm working through in my mind. All right.
Okay. Well, before we move on, is everybody all set with this? I think we talked about a lot of things there. It's really good. Hopefully we'll get the answers we want. All right.
Just one last thing. Does anybody need anything from me before, if we're done with the carpet? I'm going to jump off before my 5-year-old comes through and tears the house apart.
I think we're all set. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Reach out with anything else you may need. Bye.
Okay. So now we're on to minutes. Did everybody get a chance to review ones that Lisa sent off? Okay, we're gonna vote to approve those. Vote by roll call. Beth?
Aye.
Lisa?
I'm gonna vote yes, but we need a motion and a second, please.
Get it right one day. Come
I
on.
make a motion.
Thank
I'll make a
you.
motion to accept the meeting minutes.
I'll second it.
All right. Beth?
Still aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Irene?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Doreen?
Abstain because I was absent.
Okay, Mary, aye. All right, I declare the motion carried. Passed. Bills, Andy.
All right. Bills. Let me just get back to. What I sent out earlier. Just gonna do this. All right. So we have a number of bills tonight. I think as I said in my email, there's a few more invoices tonight because I've been busy buying things for the library. So the first one we have is for a CDWG. This was for a part of our, this is basically part of our Wi-Fi system. There are a couple of Wi-Fi devices that needed to go into the building. We were missing one, so we had to buy another one. So this is CWG for $399.99.
So move.
I'll second.
I must have missed that one. All right.
Did I not have that one in there?
No, it's there.
You do, there's 3 of them.
I've got CDW for a total of, I had 3 bills for a total of $1,019.93.
For CDW?
I'd rather combine them all.
Yeah, that's how we did them last month.
Yeah,
Oh,
because there's one for 158,
Yep,
Yep.
sorry, my mistake.
399 and 461.
That's me. Yep, you're right. Yeah, because it's got, right, there's a couple of other pieces to that, sorry.
That's okay. So, John, do you mind if I make the motion for $1,019.93 to CDW for Wi-Fi devices?
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, vote by roll call. Beth,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Irene.
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Doreen,
Aye.
Mary, aye. Declare the motion carried. Next,
Thanks for catching that. Next one is from Colliers. So again, they're our commissioning agent. This is for their work that they've done this past month. They have been busy. They've been in the middle of doing what they do, commissioning and doing some startups. So this is for $1,488.45.
I make a motion, we pay Colliers $1,488.45.
Second.
okay, vote by roll call. Beth,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Irene,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Doreen,
Aye.
Mary, aye. Declare the motion carried. Next,
Next up is for Coughlin. They were up until recently were the town's IT support provider. They still actually have this contract open with the library to finish the setup. So this is part of the IT line item in the cost report. So this is within their number. So this is for $7,434 even.
I make a motion, we pay Coughlin Electrical Contractor for $7,434.
Second.
okay, vote by roll call. Beth,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye. I have a question after we're done. Aye.
okay, Julie,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Irene,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Doreen,
Aye.
Mary, aye.
So my
Lisa,
question was, was it marked partial bill for IT, meaning we're going to get another bill?
So this is just part of their overall invoice. Yeah, so they were just telling us this is just part of the whole.
And so they're still within budget, even with
Yes.
the upcoming bills. All right, thank you.
Yep, this is just a piece of their overall bill. Yeah.
okay. Declare the motion carried. Next,
Next is for DRA in the amount of $23,798 even.
I make a motion that we pay DRA $23,798 for their monthly payment.
Second.
Second.
any questions? Nothing, okay. Vote by roll call. Beth,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Irene. I didn't hear you, Irene.
Aye.
Thank you. John,
Aye.
Doreen,
Aye.
Mary, aye. Declare the motion carried. Next,
All right, next one is also for DRA. This is for their additional services for landscaping. So this is for $5,165.
So I want to make a motion, but then ask a question. I make a motion to pay DRA $5,165 even.
Second that.
My question is, didn't we pay one of these last month? Like, are we going to get any more of these?
So like their overall fee, that it gets broken out by month. But I think this is, I should look at it again. I think this is the last one, Ron, or Ken, you can tell me.
I believe it's the last one for
Yeah.
the second additional service.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Vote by roll call. Beth,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Irene,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Doreen,
Aye.
Mary, aye. Declare the motion carried. Andy?
Yeah, I'm just doing some quick math here because I just realized this Home Depot thing isn't quite right. So the next one is for the Home Depot. We bought a washer and dryer. This invoice says $1,902.89, but I forgot that we don't pay sales tax, so it's actually $111.93 less. So the total is $1,790.96. 1790.96.
Excellent. You beat me to my own question, Andy. So I make a motion that we pay Home Depot $1,790.96, please, for an electric dryer and washer.
Second.
Any questions? Vote by roll call. Beth,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Irene,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Doreen,
Aye.
Mary, aye. Declare the motion carried. Andy?
And moving on, the next one is for Integra. So we're this is the telephone system. This is actually the same system that the school department uses. The rest of the town is going to be migrating over to this system. So the library is the first of the non-school departments to go in this direction. So this is for Integra for $4,902.15.
Is this going to be the only bill we get for this, or do you expect another one?
Just down payment.
Yeah, it says down payment. I'm trying to remember if
Okay.
this, yeah, I don't remember right offhand, Lisa, but I have their original quote, so I can find out.
You'll just make sure it matches that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. So I make a motion that we pay Integra Network Solutions in the amount of $4,902.15 as the phone system down payment.
Second.
Questions?
Just a note on that, it says 50% deposit invoice. So I'd imagine there's going to be another invoice of the same amount.
Okay, thanks. Vote by roll call. Beth,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Irene,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Doreen,
Aye.
Mary, aye. Declare the motion carried. Andy?
All right, the next two are for Market Spark. So I'll just try give you a brief explanation for this. Most carriers, phone lines are trending away from having copper lines go into buildings, right? So no more copper, it's all fiber. But in order to do that, some devices inside of a library, for instance, still require signals coming into the building to act as if they are coming across copper. So like the elevator, the telephone in the elevator and the fax lines still require what feels like a POTS line. So this is from MarketSpark. They are a provider of this hardware and service. So this is for 2 months, each of the 2 months for July and August for $114.89. So that's what the next two are.
This will be a monthly bill now the library will get forever.
Yeah, it's either this or it's, you get charged for copper lines coming in from Verizon. So this is just a more, it's a higher quality, more predictable, whatever. It's the modern technology as opposed to the old copper line.
So I make a motion, oh, sorry.
And the tax,
Do we get credit back for the copper lines? Was it part of the contract?
We never bought copper lines.
You didn't buy anything.
No, so when I went to buy copper, I got directed Verizon's trying to keep people away from adding more copper. They don't want to deal with it. They're phasing it out of their operation. So they suggested a couple different carriers. I did a little research, and so we ended up with Market Spark.
Okay, so the contractor didn't bring anything in and give you a demarc or anything. There was just nothing there for those items.
Right.
All right, thanks. John, you had something also?
It includes tax, so that somehow they need to get our tax ID number so that this isn't a recurring issue.
Oh, good one. Thanks. I'll talk to them about that. Thanks. They'll back that out for us.
Just want to make sure you clarify that that's a sales tax.
Yep.
That would, we obviously don't pay sales tax, but I'm not sure about other taxes.
Right. Okay. I'll check. Thank you.
So I'm going to make a motion to pay Market Spark in the amount of $114.89.
Amend that to $108.13.
But do we want to make sure it's sales tax, or do we want to pay
No, we
this
can always
as-
pay them later. I'm pretty sure it is based on the percentage.
I agree.
All right, so what's the real amount?
$108.13. Times 2.
Right.
Irene, did you second that?
I will second it, yes.
Thank you. Vote by roll call. Beth?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Irene?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Doreen?
Aye.
Mary, aye. Declare the motion carried.
All right. We're almost there. The next one is for Weston and Sampson. So our environmental experts, so they are actually in the process of doing the final closeouts for all of our paperwork with the DEP. This is their most recent monthly invoice for $5,699.62.
All right, I'm going to begrudgingly make a motion to pay Weston and Sampson in the amount of $5,699.62. I thought this was over.
Yeah, I know.
It's within
I'll
their fee.
begrudgingly second it.
This is not new stuff. This is just part of their overall fee. I hear you though.
Like, why? This is over. Why can't they just make sure they bill us the full amount so we can just be done?
It's
Yeah,
not.
so we don't have to keep reliving the horror.
It's not over, but the paperwork is almost over.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Beth?
I just wanted to remind Andy and Mark, I'm waiting still for those initial reports and final reports on the soil and the air quality and all of that. And 2, I had sent a link to see if we might be eligible for some federal money for like brownfield remediation.
God bless you.
Retroactively. So I'm not filling out that paperwork, but I did pass it on. So Lisa and Irene, I know it's begrudging, but maybe we will get some money back. So
That would be nice.
I want to pay it.
Okay, we're gonna vote by roll call. Beth?
Aye.
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Irene?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Doreen?
Aye.
Mary, aye. Declare the motion carried. Andy?
All right, we're going to move on to change order number 22 and then CTA's requisition.
Can I stop? I'm sorry, Andy, to keep
Yes.
interrupting. We have a Grafton Water District bill too, don't we?
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah, there
skip that
was one.
Yeah, you skipped that one.
missed that one. Yeah, so I think I don't think I actually meant to throw that one in there because the Grafton, in my opinion, the Grafton Water District bill is supposed to be paid by the general contractor. They were supposed to be paying electric bill, gas bill, water bill, and sewer bill. So disregard the Grafton Water District one. I'm kicking that back to the GC.
Thank you.
It was in my invoices to be paid, but not by this committee. All right. So change order 22, I sent out my usual sort of little bit of summary over these so people could see what they were. And then we can talk about them. So I'll
Which
just go through
file
them
is
quickly.
that?
What's that?
Which file is that?
It was a separate email
Oh,
this afternoon, Irene.
It came at 5:30, Irene.
Yep.
Okay, that's why I didn't see it yet. Okay,
It was late.
Thank you.
for me. Sorry about that.
So as I review this, I would just like to state for the record that it drives me crazy to pay extra for things that only our town requires when we meet and we plan buildings, and we meet the fire code that the rest of the world has to live by. For some reason, we have to then do extra in Grafton, and the same is true for the building. So I just want to publicly state that these very high standards that are only set in Grafton are a little ridiculous.
It happens. Honestly, it's not, and Mark can chime in here. It's
Right.
honestly not just Grafton. And Julie, you know, everybody, it happens everywhere. Especially the fire department, they're generally an unregulated force. I mean, they've got the public's best interest at heart, right? So, but when they come through and they want to add an emergency light here or an exit sign there, or a different exit sign, or an emergency off switch in the kitchen that hadn't been designed in because it's not typical, you don't have any, there's no choice. You just have to do it. And so it's not Grafton by far. It's
No.
Every town has their own little quirks.
It's almost unusual for a project of this size if it weren't to happen. That doesn't make it any less frustrating.
For sure.
But it's not uncommon. So don't feel like Grafton has set the bar unusually high.
Right.
You're not alone.
Which items in the current change order are you referring to? Or are you is this just a general statement?
No, it was number 0107, emergency off switch in the kitchen required by the fire department. Usually just emergency gas shut off is required.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I agree with Lisa, but I also feel like if we've paid all these consultants to be looking at all this, we're paying all different types of consultants. I feel like if the building department knows we're building a library, the fire department knows we're building a library, they should have been on board in meetings and all over this the whole way.
But
Instead, not that, that they tell us after it's all done, we need you to do.
The building, to answer that, the building officials, including the fire marshal, do review the drawings before issuing the permit. And there are a number of occasions where they'll catch things before they issue the permit, and those items have to be corrected in the drawings. But this is not a mistake.
No, I'm not saying.
I understand. My point is they reviewed the drawings before issuing the permit and didn't pick this up.
But they issue the permit, but then they can't then divorce themselves from the project until we're ready to open the door and say, oh, you got to do all these things. They need to be at all these meetings. Somehow that if they're requiring us to do this, the town needs to require that they attend and be engaged in any building over $1 million, so that everybody else in the future, whether it's a school, a fire department, police department, senior center, whatever we're going to build next, that they don't get caught. And that's, we're trying to do the right thing, and they need to be with the project from day one and not walk away from it and then come back at the end. That's my 2 cents.
That'd be wonderful, John. I would love to see that happen. I will also just mention that there was a change in personnel for the fire inspector from the beginning of the project till just near the very end. And I think some of this came from that change of personnel. He's just, I think he's just a little pickier.
But from a
picky and being safe, that's not the problem at all. It's just, please tell us before it costs us a fortune to do it the way you want it. We'll do it.
Yeah.
Please, the money.
It'd be great.
But from a financial perspective, if it wasn't in the original drawings, we'd be paying for it regardless, right? Because it's not in part of that contract. So if they would have caught it after the project started, we'd still be paying as a change order, correct? Right? Because it's not in that original contract.
But it's a lot easier to fix it at an earlier stage.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. And I agree that they should be involved more frequently.
You don't have to rip out and redo and undo to, it's so much easier for everybody,
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
As far as the fire department goes, I think that's going to be easier going forward now that we are moving to having full-time staff for a couple of positions. You have to remember that we've been an on-call department and nobody was full-time, except for the dispatchers, but that's shared, with the police. So we're in a very different place now than we were when we started this project, not to mention all the previous building projects in town. And that's due to, the growth of the town. So in fairness to the fire department, nobody was full-time.
I thought they have some full-time people that do inspections that do this certain type of thing.
They only do them on an as-needed basis. Correct me if I'm wrong, Andy.
The fire inspector right now, I believe is a full-time position.
Okay, then I stand corrected on that one. I did not believe that they were.
Good. So that was the last change order I was going to talk, the last PCO I was going to talk about. The ones before it were, so number 52 was one that's been sitting around for a while, just kind of going back and forth. We're waiting for final credit. So we made a change to the east end of the building, that gable roof. We made a change to that. There was a sort of the masonry detail, once everybody looked at it, was a little difficult, and we came up with what we feel is a much better long-term in terms of maintenance and what do I want to say? Just how well it's gonna last and age. There's a better solution. So there's a change in cost because of that. Number 66, there was a rotted window in the boiler room that was basically just barely a piece of plywood holding that in place. That needed to get taken out, was not in the original drawings. The teen librarian's window had glass that you could not see through. So that necessitated replacing of that window so that she'll be able to have visual control of the outside teen area once that area is done. Number 99, cost to refinish 6 of the round oak tables. So those were the existing tables, some of the existing tables in the original library space. They're in bad shape. They've had no maintenance over a long period of time. So we got the people that actually restored the rest of the woodwork in that space are going to be doing these tables as well. PCO number 100 is to provide conduit and power to the electric vehicle charging stations in the shed. So the shed originally didn't have anything in it at all. So that was something that we specifically added. The shed was there, but had no power, no light. We didn't think that was safe or practical, so we added that in. And the electric vehicle charging stations were shown in the drawings, but there was no conduit shown to them. One of these silly things where you'd think, well, they should assume that they need to connect that, and so that should be conduit, but that's not the case. 102, the dedication plaque got changed to something more contemporary, more in keeping with the building. So it went from the sort of traditional brass to a stainless steel. 106, there were some conflicts in a few wall outlets with some cabinetry that we missed, and so needed to be moved so we could maintain the right level of power outlets in a couple of rooms. And then the EPO switch in the kitchen was the one we already talked about. So the total for all these was $26,603.24. I also mentioned in my overview that we do have some other PCOs coming up, one of which is a almost $10,000 credit. So even though there's a fair number of PCOs in this change order and a few coming still, they're not really moving the needle much. If you look at, when we go to the cost report, you'll see the cost summary doesn't look much different than it did last month. So we got some adds and subtractions. So we're actually doing okay given the number of sort of loose ends that keep coming up that we're taking care of.
I'm going to make a motion, then I have a question, of course. I'm going to make a motion that we pay change order number 22 in the amount of $26,603.24.
I'll second.
And my question is, you said that we're doing pretty good. So like, are we prepared for this quote to come in a couple of weeks, you think? I mean, although that's not a fair question, never mind. I'll just wait for 2 weeks.
I'll answer the question if you want. I mean, it's going to be ugly.
Okay.
But
What quote? You're talking about for the table movement?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I just have a question about the bubble glass. Is that an original window, a current window, or is that a window that was a new window? I'm not exactly sure where the teen librarian's window is.
it's an existing window, so it's right in the very corner of the building, John, that faces the Grafton Inn.
Okay, so this is just like a 1920 window that's got this opaque glass. or
Yeah, and
bubble-
the people that are replacing it, the name of the company is Old Bostonian, so they're doing a historic replica of what's there.
But just clear glass where you could
Clear
see.
glass.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Sure.
Any other questions? Did I get somebody to second it?
Julie did.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, vote by roll call. Beth?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Irene?
Aye.
John?
I
Doreen?
Aye.
Mary, aye. Declare the motion carried.
All right. Requisition number 21. Requisition number 21. Again, we're getting down to the very end of this thing, so this one is not large. This is CTA's monthly rec. It's for $84,900.36. You'll see in general that retainage of 5% is still being held for all the subcontractors, with, I believe, with the exception of the steel.
All right.
With the exception of the structural steel sub, they're clearly done. So we felt it was appropriate to release retainage for that particular trade.
I make a motion to pay rec number 21 in the amount of $84,900.36.
I'll second.
Any questions?
What
Oh,
is,
Go ahead,
sorry,
Doug.
Andy, what is it? Number 9 is our remaining balance, or 5A is our remaining balance? Or if you're looking at that sheet.
Sorry, I can open it back up,
It should be 9.
right?
Okay.
Alright.
Thank you.
Vote by roll call. Beth?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Irene?
Aye.
John?
I
Maureen?
Aye.
Mary, aye. Declare the motion carried. Is that it, Andy, on all those?
That's it.
All right.
You sure you don't want to add something else, Andy?
I'm good.
You get to keep on going, clerk of the work.
Yay. All right, yeah, I'll do this. And Mark, please jump in anywhere, because I feel like too often I'm completing sentences that you could have done. So I think people that have been by the building or have been in it know that basically on the inside of the building we're at punch lists. Even that is relatively minor at this point. The painter was back again today to do some work. There's been a little bit of touch up here and there. The building management system was in the integration for that happened later last week. Roofing inspection happened for the warranty. That was done. And so really it's mostly furniture and shelving installation. And right now, literally, well, not right now, but the move from the interim library is ongoing and will be ongoing all this week. So that's really kind of where we are building wise.
Yeah, and as Andy mentioned, the retainage that's held, there's $740-ish thousand still being held after tonight's meeting against a punch list that if you were to monetize would literally be, 1/10 or less than that, or certainly. So we're in very good shape, and there are no really kind of line in the sand punch list items where there's a big argument brewing, where the contractor doesn't think it's punch list work, it's additional work and things like that. It's been a reasonable punch list. I think that speaks to the, the quality of the work that was done. and the plans and the design overall. So it's been a good process. There's been some management personnel movement on CTA's end, but they're still plugging away. I don't think ultimately it's going to affect the punch list completion. At times like this, projects can kind of drag and stretch out, and what should take a week sometimes can take 3 because it's hard to get people back. And but it seems to be moving along pretty well.
Yep, I would agree with that.
Same here.
So just schedule wise, like I said, shelving installation has been ongoing. There's still some minor pieces to the metal shelving that are still due to come in. They have been having, their manufacturers been having material issues on their side. They've been having labor issues and all kinds of things. So that's been going slower than they'd like. There have been apologies all the way around to try to, and they've been scrambling to try to make things work the right way. Fortunately, it has worked out with the movers. They've got everything that they need right now to be able to move the library back in. So I think we're in okay shape there. Furniture is mostly in. There was some minor damage that happened here and there. Nothing's really super significant. A couple of things that unfortunately just seem to happen here and there. So but they're on it. They know what needs to get done. Like I said, the move is going through this week. Final paving is to be scheduled, but we're coming up on it pretty quickly. There's some work that's going to happen in the detention pond. Since that was built, there's been standing water in it. And so we've had a concern about mosquitoes and whatever. So, because it seems like no matter what, whether it's rainy or dry or whatever, there's always 6 inches of water in the bottom of that pond. So we got together with the landscape architect, with the civil engineer and all the subcontractors that would be involved to troubleshoot what the solution would be there. So that came up with a solution, and that's going to get done in the next couple of weeks. Once that's done, then we'll do the final paving. We don't want to do the final paving before we bring in heavy equipment. So that'll happen next. And then I think right after final paving, we're going to see the green roof come in. They got pushed off a bit just because of weather. It's been rainy and they've gotten all messed up with their other installations, but they're coming in right behind as well. So, I think it's all going to come crashing together at the last minute for when the public opens up, when we're open up to the public, and everything should be looking pretty good. The exception to that is the former front of the building, so the common facing side. That work, that concrete sidewalk was originally just going to be patched. We're going to re-pour whatever concrete needed to get replaced, and then because of the success with donor funding, it was decided to change that to brick. So, and then it took us a while to get final drawings to get that pulled together. I've got the folks that are actually doing the brick sidewalks in the common. We're very interested in doing this one as well. They're going to use the same brick. It'll be very consistent. And so they're pricing that up right now. I should get something from them this week. And they want to be able to hop right in behind what they're doing there. So, by the time the grand opening comes, that should be done as well. So that's really kind of the last piece of that but even that I think is coming together pretty well in terms of being able to get it done before we get too far into the fall.
What's the fix for the pond? Is it a plant fix, or do they have to dig?
No, so they have to muck out the bottom of it a bit. Then we are actually going to put a drain pipe down the middle of it. We're going to regrade it a little bit so it pitches a little bit more downhill, and then put riprap around that. So the whole thing just sort of, and raise up the bottom of the pond basically by 6 or 8 inches, so that the 6 inches of standing water will be underneath what we've added in. So it should drain better, and we're raising the bottom of the pond so that constant 6 inches of, I think, groundwater will be covered. Other things in here. So Coughlin, we saw their bill. They've been doing installation, getting computers and monitors in, appliances. We're going to get the washer and dryer this week. We've got some mobile charging carts for laptops that are coming in this week. And I'm pushing hard to get this RFID panels completed. That vendor in particular has not been great to work with, but we'll get them there at the end of the day before everything really needs to be open.
And what's the actual day the books are going to get moved?
They are being moved right now.
Now, you already started. Okay.
Yep. So I think that's what I've got.
Doug, you have a question?
I do. It's actually back to that change order. Can you remind me the replacement windows of existing building and existing wood table refinish? Was that out of scope of the original project, or are these just kind of costs that went above what we had originally projected?
Yeah, out of scope. So the boiler room window, we never really looked at. And it was literally a plywood panel that was on rotted wood. So it was not in any condition to remain the way it was. And the window in the teens librarian's office became more real when the teen librarian was in there and looked out the window and said, I can't, this is not good. I need for safety purposes, they need to be able to look outside and see what's going on in the teen patio. So those were both out of scope.
Anybody else have questions? Mark, do you have anything else to add?
Nothing specific. I think Andy covered most of it, though I will give just a heads up. Some of the issues that we've been talking about tonight about heights of countertops or outlets and so forth, a lot of those conversations come up now during the process of the FF&E being installed, shelving being installed, appliances being installed, where sometimes people say, I need an outlet here, not over there. And so there might be little ancillary changes that come about because of that. And then that might happen again once the building is fully occupied and the staff is there 8 hours a day and you kind of settle into the space a little bit. Maybe, hopefully, we're catching some of these before that conversation is even had. But a lot of it is user specific. So just a heads up that some of those, the way people envision utilizing the space once everything is done might be a little different. We might have to do a little course correction here or there, but usually it's add an outlet or move an outlet or I need another piece of furniture, something like that. It's small, but now's the time. You're in a good position where you've got time. The move-in is going relatively well, and you've got time to respond to those things before you formally open to the public.
So, sorry, Lisa, to that point, so the Historic District Commission's cabinet of weights and measures that's currently in the municipal center is planned to move over to the existing part of the building. We've got a spot for it, but it does need power. And while there's an outlet around the corner from it, it would be better to have an outlet that's concealed behind it. And so that's something that I need to talk to the electrician about and figure out what that's going to be. There's an electrical closet right there, so there's a place to pull off. But that's a good example of what Mark just said. Is
that, and CPC does have funds. Hopefully, it won't be horrendous for that project because that came in under, and so we have funds to move it, the cabinet, and hopefully there'll be funds to do the electrical because that's critical that we have the electrical. So that the library should not be paying that expense.
okay.
I want to say, Mark, I appreciate you saying that because I'm sitting here thinking, like, if I was a public member and I'm out in the world and I'm going to see the headline, like, counters need to be moved at X number of expense from 34 to 30 inches. Like, I just think, like, how is that missed, and like, that would be the first thing I would say if I was a public person. We're spending all this money on this library, and how is that one thing that's going to cost us a ton, I have a feeling, how is that missed? So, like, that's something I certainly don't want to go down a rabbit hole right now, and I don't want to shame anyone. Mistakes happen, but I would like to better understanding in 2 weeks how that happened, just so I can answer that when I'm at Stop and Shop.
Right. No, I mean, ultimately, it's especially a library, the way a library is utilized, it's an end user experience. And so you want people who are going to sit in that chair in that certain area. And if there's no outlet available to them to plug in, then that's a missed step. Or if the countertop height is an issue, that's something to address. And so the best thing for everyone is to find out what those issues are now ahead of time, address them, see what it is. If, see what the cost is to address it. Do we want to make that change or not? And if not, then have sound reasoning behind it. Or you try to make the space as flexible as you can. There's a limit to that, certainly, but you've got time to address some of these issues.
Great. All right, Historic District Commission, you all set there, John, with the,
There's any new update from that meeting because it wasn't a Zoom, so I couldn't attend. But I don't think that was, I think we had decided at the previous meeting that Ron and on that you
I'm
guys have,
sorry, you were cutting out.
you have the design that was approved, and that's what you're working on, is what the district did approve a month or so ago.
Getting pricing from that. The CTA has the drawing for that roof screen, as well as the directional sign at the west entrance. And we're getting pricing back on those two items. And they are pricing what was approved by the design subcommittee and reviewed by the HTC.
And just to clarify what Andy had said, the weights and measures are from the Historical Commission, two different town bodies, sorry. The district is for the screens.
Mary, could we have an architect update if possible? I think we might have skipped over it unless I missed that there was one.
nope, we need to do the architect update as well.
Yeah, I thought that was next, but to provide the architect's update, in addition to the items we've already discussed, at this point, we're going through the closeout process with CTA and Andy and Mark. We will be back checking the punch list items to make sure they are complete. So we had done our punch list, submitted it to CTA, they distributed it to the subcontractors. They carry out the work and submit it back to us, and we go back and check and make sure that everything's been accomplished. So we'll be doing that over the next week or two as they complete punch list items. That's pretty much it. We are working on a few issues. These kind of go into the design subcommittee, but if it's okay, I'll bring them up now. The carpet border in the original library, they were short on the quantity. So they're remanufacturing, but they keep sending us samples that don't match what they've installed. So we're working with the manufacturer to find out why they keep sending us samples that don't match what they manufactured in the first place. So we're working with them to straighten that out. The gate that was redesigned and approved at the gate at the bottom of the stairs, we have to work out some details. The corner where the hinges go was not constructed as we originally designed. So we found a different hinge and an adjustment that will make that that gate work properly. And once we have that, they're going to get us pricing for refabricating that gate. That's basically about it, unless Andy, Mark, and what you can think of something I missed.
No, I think you're good.
Okay, thank you.
We did discuss the last time we were together about the dedication, the donor plaques and signage and the dedication plaque. Was there anything that you needed from us or from the friends or from somebody to approve any of that stuff?
The dedication plaque is what was part of this recent PCO. It was redesigned, approved by the design subcommittee. We went from a bronze plaque to a more contemporary stainless steel with some nice graphic on it about the, showing the library. And so that's squared away. The donor signage is being taken out of the contract. That's the donor wall where you have all the names of the different donors and also signage at any individual rooms that people may have donated money for. Because it's difficult to get all that information wrapped up prior to construction because fundraising is still going on, that has been taken, that piece of it, just the donor signage has been taken out of the base contract and will be handled separately.
Right. Anybody have any other questions for the architects?
So those signs would be paid for through the fundraising, is that correct? Rather than the building, the
Yes.
town? Okay.
Have we seen the final design of the dedication plaque? I don't remember seeing that.
Yeah, that was part, as Ron mentioned, that was part of the change that was in tonight's package. And I think there's a cut of that in the change. In the backup from CTA is an image of what that plaque's going to look like.
Let me.
Yeah, it went through the design subcommittee.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
I can pull up a copy if you'd like.
It's Doug with 2 G's, right, Doug?
Yeah. It has an H on the end too. Doug, believe it or not, a lot of people spell my name with an H on the end.
Really?
Yes. I mean, they spell it dough.
It's not H-I-E, doughy. Hey, doughy.
Let me see. Okay, if I can share my screen, I'll show it to you.
Oh, give it a try.
Can you see it?
There you go.
Yeah, that's right. Can you zoom in on that, Ron?
Yes, I can.
You know, spell check?
Let me get rid of these. And move that.
I was just more
around.
curious about the graphic. I do remember this now.
I do too.
Yeah. Is that, but this isn't the final verbiage on it, like just the dedication date I'm looking at.
No, that's not this is not the final. This was submitted as the change order. Yes, as the proposed change order. And
Okay.
Andy provided the a different date for the submittal.
Yep, October 1st.
And are the
Very
names,
good.
are the names final? Like, we've had other people on this library building committee who I think should probably be, my personal opinion is should probably be acknowledged. But I'm just going to throw it out there and everyone can say no.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you for bringing that up. I was going to say the same thing, Lisa. I think Brooke Paget's name should be on this for one.
yeah, it's always a question, right? Whether people that were here when this started or when it finished, or because then for instance, Evan Broussard's name is not on here because at the time that we were trying to get this finalized, we just had an interim, and so we just left off the town administrator.
Right.
Same thing with select board, right? The people that are on this, that were on the select board when this got done are not exactly the same people that are on it now. So I don't know, we'd have to find out where this is in fabrication, and then see if we can make any last edits to include names, but I'm staying out of the politics.
Well, being in the politics, I will say if we were to add anything, I would add to the library planning and building committee and add on to those people that have dedicated time, effort, input to this project the most.
Yeah, I would certainly, and I think Brooke is the only person, right, that we're missing. I would be in favor of adding Brooke too, because he spent half the project on the committee.
Yeah.
Maybe even more than half the project.
Yep.
As a resident of Grafton, I agree.
So I'm gonna just make that motion if we can still make changes. I would make a motion that Brooke Pageant's name be added to the library planning and building committee list.
Second.
I have a discussion question.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
I do it to you. You might as well do it to me.
What about town administrator? Do we want to leave off?
I think they both should be listed, is my personal opinion. Tim has spent a great deal of time working on this as well. And I think that I don't know how you would word both people's names, but that's just my personal opinion as well.
I agree with Lisa on that too. I feel like if there's a way to add both, even put town administrators or date next to them, or just,
Or former, like FR for former.
Town administrator and town administrator, yeah.
So I add that to my motion too, or maybe I'll keep it separate. I'll keep it separate so it doesn't muddy it.
And somebody second that?
Second.
I did.
Second.
Okay, vote by call, Beth.
So I actually have additional names that should be added. I mean, this committee has been standing for almost 4 years. Ed Frisbee and was it Mr. Gallagher who was on it? There might have.
Tim Fitzpatrick.
That's it. Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
Tim Fitzpatrick was on it.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
some
and
of us have
some-
been on it since 2011.
Yeah.
So there's been other people too, but
Yeah.
I think for
Cheryl-
this building, yeah.
Yeah.
Was Tim, I'm trying to go back because I've been on it the whole time too, but was Tim on it for this new project or was he on that previous
Yeah.
project?
Yeah.
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 He was
Okay.
helping us prepare for the grant.
Yeah.
Okay.
And spoke at town meeting. Right, Alex?
Yes, yeah.
All right, so why don't I'm gonna revise my motion. So I'm gonna make my motion that under library planning and building committee, we add the names Brooke Pageant, and someone else is gonna have to give me the additional names.
Tim Fitzpatrick.
Is it Timothy or Tim?
He's Timothy.
Patrick, and anyone else who's on this committee?
Ed Frisbee was our finance committee representative, and we also had someone different representing planning board who often wasn't able to come to meetings. I forget her name.
Well, if Ed's name is
Oh,
on the
yeah.
selectman, is it okay? Because otherwise we're really gonna
Oh.
run out of room.
I think he's good under select board.
Okay.
Yeah, because he was a select board representative.
In FinCom.
Income.
All right, so Brooke
okay.
Pageant and Timothy Fitzpatrick to the library planning and building committee list. As long as it costs us no new money, like as long as this isn't in production.
And if it's helpful to bump my name off of the library planning and building committee, since I am under select board, if that adds,
Oh,
you Brooke's name or Timothy's name on it, I am perfectly fine with that. I don't need I don't need any recognition. I certainly don't need double recognition on a plaque. It's a little obnoxious, actually. So
Actually, I'm in that group too, I realize.
So am I, but once is enough, really. Like,
Okay. All right, so to add those names, vote by roll call, Beth.
I'll also suggest you could put a little asterisk for anyone who's duplicated and like is also served on planning and building committee.
That's a great idea.
Oh, that is good.
Lisa,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Irene. Irene? She must have left.
No,
John?
she's muted.
Sorry, I forgot I was muted. Aye.
There you are. John,
Aye.
Doreen,
Aye.
Mary, aye.
I'm gonna make another motion. I make a motion to add both town administrators' names to this plaque as well.
Second.
Oh, by roll call, Beth,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Irene,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Doreen,
Aye.
Mary, aye. Declare the motion carried.
So Ron, just a heads up, so if we go back, I'll call CTA tomorrow, I'll tell them or find out where this is in production and hold it up, but then they're gonna turn around and say, if we're gonna say there's changes, they're gonna say, show them to me, so the responsibility isn't on their end, so you're gonna have to revise this accordingly. Maybe you can just add the words around the corner, you know, have a little something at the bottom on chains or something like that.
Or the font will be so small, no one will be able to read.
Exactly.
Would the subcommittee be able to mark up a
We can
drawing?
we could discuss it more in we're still gonna have a subcommittee meeting, I think.
So I did the layout on this thing, and I, with all due respect to everybody involved, I don't think it's a committee activity to
Good.
relay that thing out.
You go do it.
All right, go for it then.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
All right, almost there, guys. So the grand reopening planning, do we need to talk about that right now?
I didn't get to be at the meeting,
Okay,
so I don't know what went on. I haven't seen any meeting minutes from it.
I can,
just,
yeah, I mean, I missed that first meeting too, but as far as I know that they planned 3 dates. One was like the official ribbon cutting type ceremony. And then they were planning on 2 other days, like the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and having events for families and patrons on Saturday and Sunday.
Right, ribbon cutting October 1st at 10 o'clock in the morning, so that's a Friday morning. And then I think the weekend activities are still TBD.
Beth
Yeah.
knows everything, so she's got the rest.
Friday morning at 11 on October 1st. And then something from 10 to 3 on Saturday, and then an evening cocktail party also on Saturday on October 2nd. I believe their next meeting is tomorrow night. So those of you who are serving on it, if you haven't gotten an invitation.
I
now-
didn't.
Okay, Susan told me they were meeting tomorrow, so I will nudge them to get involved.
Okay.
okay. Any public input? Please say no.
Beth, I did,
I just want to point out that this has been on all of our agendas every single month when we meet. So when there are people out in the public who have concerns on either Facebook or Disability Commission, this has been here every single month. And we welcome people to come and share it here with us at this committee.
Okay.
10 o'clock or 11 o'clock for the ribbon cutting on October 1st.
She said 11 a.m.
11. My hands don't go up to 11.
Okay. Thank you.
11.
She's giving you a big L there, John.
I know this is a really long meeting. We had.
Yeah, we're getting punchy.
Yeah.
I think it was important to hash out some things, and so I think it was really good. So with that, I would like to adjourn. If somebody wants to make a motion.
I'll make a motion
I'm gonna
I'll
second.
second.
I just want to remind people, our next meeting is September 13th.
Yes.
And then the next one after that, I scheduled for October 4th is the first Monday of the month, but I'm assuming someone's gonna let us know in about an additional mid-month meeting.
Just
Yeah,
to
I was
note
just gonna
on
say that. I
the,
thought we were meeting again in 2 weeks.
Well, we're not exactly sure when the pricing comes in.
but
Yeah.
the next formal monthly meeting in September, is that going to be at the library? Or is that a Zoom call?
If it is ready, yeah.
Okay.
We'll give fair warning.
It's ready
Okay.
now.
It's ready.
I'd like to be at the library.
That would be
Great.
great.
Yeah.
So that's September 13th? Okay, great.
I second Julie's motion to adjourn.
Ah, thank you.
By roll call, Beth.
She must be muted.
Unmute, Beth.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm hollering into my rabbinical student partner to ask if that's a high holiday date, in which case I can't make it.
Oh.
So I'm trying to Google it now.
Okay.
Yeah. We're good. I can meet.
Okay. Lisa,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Doug,
Hi.
Irene,
Bye.
John,
I.
Maureen,
Aye.
Mary. Aye. Okay, declare the meeting over, adjourned.